Welcome to another Eat, Train, Live KainesWay. Now today I've decided I'm going to make a traditional Greek dish. Now this has been in my family for many years and I love making this because if you're working all day, you can just let this cook in a slow cooker if you do have one, or if you're home, you can just cook it on the stove. But it is nice and easy. It is a Greek style roast beef. Now this is an amazing dish. I can't stop saying it's amazing because it is just one of my favorites. So to get started, there is no real measuring when it comes to Greek cooking. It's pretty much just guessing by the taste and the texture. So what you're going to get is a Girello piece of meat. Now this is a 1.5 kilo here. So this is enough for about 6 to 8 people. If you're a big eater, definitely 6. So you're going to chuck that into a large pot. You're going to crush 2 cloves of garlic. You can use more, you can use less, just depending on if you like garlic really. Like I said, this is really quick, but it does take a while to cook. If you're slow cooking it, you can slow cook it for 8 hours in a slow cooker. If you're cooking it on the stove, leave it on low to medium for about 4 hours, which is what I'm gonna do today. Next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna drown it in red wine. Now I'm using a Shiraz, Shiraz Cabernet. So we're gonna squirt that all in there. Now what you want to do with it, the amount of red wine you're going to use to cover it at least 80% of it. So you're going to use a lot of red wine. And if you're like me, you love your red wine. When you get to about 60%, which is where I'm at now, you're going to stop it. Some salt. Now I'm using pink Himalayan salt. I'm going to put 2 teaspoons in. Now you might need more later on. Just while it's cooking, just test it to see if it needs any more. Then you're going to use about a cup of olive oil. Now this is extra virgin olive oil. You're going to pour it over the top of the meat. You're going to add a little bit of cayenne pepper. So we're just going to sprinkle that on top. Don't put too much if you don't want it too spicy. If you like your spice, add more. Now this is my own little secret ingredient. My yaya didn't obviously use cayenne pepper, but I like it. Next you're going to drown it in cinnamon. Now this dish is going to have a lot of cinnamon in it, so it's up to you how much you want to put in it. I love it. You can see how much dust is coming up. Add some grounded pepper. Just sprinkle it in. Next, add a bit more red wine. Okay, so it's about 80% covered. Now you're just going to add some water to it. So we're just going to cover it. So it's all filled up now. So we're going to put it on the stove for about 4 hours on a low to medium temperature. We don't want it too high because we want it to slowly cook so it's nice and tender when we do cut it up next. So I'll see you guys in 4 hours. So our meat's been cooking for about 3.5 hours. So we'll go check on that and see how that's going. Falling apart and looking nice and tender, that's what we want. So our meat's looking nice and tender. So while that's cooking for another half an hour or so, what we're gonna do is we're gonna make our potatoes. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna cut your potatoes into half after you've peeled them. Then what we're gonna do, you're gonna grab a knife and you're gonna put a line right down the middle. Now, we're not going to go right to the edge. We're just going to go just a centimetre in, go all the way down, all the way through till you get near to the other end. You can either deep fry your potatoes or you can basically just shallow fry them. I prefer to deep fry them because they cook a lot better. And I know some people are like, that's more unhealthy. It's not literally, it's actually a lot better to fry things than it is to shallow fry because the oil doesn't stay in the actual potato. So I'm going to use more pink salt, so I'm going to put some pink salt over the top of them as well. And we want them to be a golden colour. And we'll put them in and leave them in there. And we'll check on them in a minute. Okay, so our first batch is done. We'll take them out. So just a light golden colour. And just put them onto a plate for now. We're going to put them aside. With your current potatoes, you're going to get some cinnamon. And you're just going to lightly sprinkle them with some cinnamon on top. That will do. You don't need to overdo it. Just a little sprinkle. So while we're waiting for our final batch of potatoes to cook, we're going to take our meat out and we're going to cut it up. Okay, so let's put our meat on there. And we'll take a fork, take your meat out, and put it onto the tray. Okay, so next we're going to cut up our meat. Now we're going to keep our juice still because we want to use that juice. Now, some people like to cut it straight down, but then it actually will fall apart a lot easier when you're eating it. But to keep it nice and tender, we're going to slice it to the top. Just put it aside for now. We're not going to chuck it back in yet. Now you don't want to cut it too thick either. Now you don't want the pieces to be that long, so you want to cut it in half, just so it's a lot smaller when eating it as well, because it's a lot to chew. Now what you're going to do, I'll put that a bit aside for now. What you're going to do is you're going to sprinkle a bit of cinnamon on it as well. Just sprinkle it, not too much guys, just sprinkle it on this. Grab your meat, place your meat back in the juice. What we're going to do as well, we're going to chuck our potatoes in there. So place your potatoes inside, the ones you've sprinkled already. Check our last batch of potatoes out. Now it doesn't matter if they're not cooked all the way through because they're going to cook in the juice. Sprinkle them. Okay, so we're going to chuck our last bit of meat in. So it's all the meat. Chuck the last set of potatoes in there with the meat. Mix it up. So we're going to place this on the stove for another half an hour on a low temperature, just so the juice can go through the potatoes and the meat, so it can be that nice juicy taste when you're eating it. And the potatoes will soften as well. So our meat and our potatoes have been cooking for half an hour, so now it's time to serve it up. Then we'll sprinkle a little bit of juice on top. And there you have it, an authentic Greek dish. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I put out fortnightly videos, well I try to. Also check out my main channel at youtube.com/KainesWay if you want to watch some weird stuff. Also follow me on all my social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr at KainesWay. And remember, to eat right, train hard, and live life KainesWay.